Xenos Rampant. We are slowly approaching a complete understanding of these rules, and today we're going to incorporate a few of the lessons that we've learned over the last few games. We're going to go with the Battlesuit Bastards against the Sons of Thunder one more time. This time, instead of going with the super heavy armor, I have purchased armor-piercing and high-powered blades, meaning every time these guys attack, whether it's in melee or shooting, they count the target's armor as being one less. And that's true for both vehicles and ground pounders. Now notice I've got 5 models in the back, 5 models in the back, and our leader, he's a pretty tough dude. He's in the heavy armor. He's got an extra wound. So for this unit, even though there's only 4 models, we'll take 1, 2, 3 casualties off the board. Then we're at half strength when our leader stands alone. Things get a little more complicated, a little different when we move over to the Thunder Sons. This squad is from alternative armies. I should say the other guys are all Coruscant. These figures are the Sons of Thunder from Rebel Miniatures, and the 2 walkers are from Hassle-Free Miniatures. They're actually called Grimmin, and they are 28mm dwarves, but they work great as 15mm walker suits. So, what do we got here? Well, all of the little guys are heavy infantry. Our leader is a unit of 5. We went ahead and bought the upgrade for mob size. We've got a squad of 10 and 10, which gives them a little bit less flexibility, but it does make these guys, I think they're going to punch a little bit harder. Their attacks go from 6 to 5, and when they defend, they go from 6 to 4. Also, their armor bumps up by 1. For the 2 squads, we purchased armor piercing, and of course, slow to offset the cost of that. For the elites, we did the same thing. They are slow. They're dwarves. They got stunty little legs. They also have armor piercing, but they have, that is for shooting. Armor piercing is only for shooting. They do not have the high-powered blades. The walkers in the back are light vehicles. We're not using like tanks or support vehicles. They're classed as light vehicles, and they're actually half the points of this 24 army points, half of them are tied up in these walkers, who are vehicles. They are walkers. They are armored, so they have an armor of 4. They can storm defenses, and they have power attacks in melee. When they attack in melee, they will have -1 to the armor, both for attacking and defending. Today, we're going to add in the extra wrinkle of commander traits. There are 4 different charts that you can roll on: aggressive, tactical, strategic, and warlord. Now, we're not going to do warlord. That's really more for like orky, space orcs, that kind of thing. Maybe your Nids of the Tyrann variety. I'm going to use, our Battlesuit Bastards are in blue, so I'm going to roll blue dice for our blue boys, and I don't know which one to use, so I'm going to roll first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we get a 3-4 and a 5-6. So that will be for our War Dogs Incorporated, and this will be for our dwarves. Then I'm going to roll again. Our War Dogs Incorporated have reactive. You must subtract 1 from your roll to determine attacker and defender. Oh, that's easy. And our strategic commander, number 4, father to his men. Good quality rations and fair treatment by your dwarf commander. You may re-roll a courage test within 6 inches of your commander. Remember, we're playing at half scale. Then we have to roll to, what do we do next? We want to roll to see which scenario we're playing. Why not? The blue die will be the first die. Blue die comes up odd, and a 2 is Bravo, Secret Mission. I am going to reserve the right to re-roll that. Secret missions don't make much sense for a solo gamer like me. So we get an odd number, and we get a 2, and it's wow, somebody has it in for me here. I'm going to try one more time. All right, our first die is even this time, and 2 is Hotel Night Raid. Ooh, that sounds exciting. I'm going to figure out who our attacker is first. Remember, the high roll is the attacker. The blue die is at -1. So the blue die is going to be the defender. Our Battlesuit Bastards are defending this time on a night mission. This one is a little complicated. Let me walk you through this setup. First, we set up the terrain, and then, including the little hab modules here, little Zorg container, We got a bridge, we got a stream that is uncrossable except at the ford, which you move at half speed. That's classed as rough ground. We have a couple of rough ground patches up there. They don't block line of sight. You can take cover in them. Your armor 1 when you're in those. They do slow movement by half, which is going to be really bad for our dwarves. They're in trouble. They're attackers, and they're going to only be moving like, I think 3 inches per turn instead of... No, I think it's 2 instead of 3. They're going to be stunty. We'll look at them in a second. We deployed our 3 attackers. These are sentry groups. Here's our leader right there. And then we've got one over by the bridge and one down here. After they're set up, then they set up the objectives. And they've got 3 objectives that the attackers are looking to destroy. We've got a little hab module here. Not a hab module. A little mini-fac. Another little mini-fac. And the vending machine that sells, and I'm kind of proud of this. Let me show you guys for those who haven't seen it. See my little Nuka-Cola logo that I painted on the side there? Ain't she cute? Look at that. There's his Nuka on the front. So we got to protect the Nuka-Cola. That goes right there. Tonight fighting, these guys are sentries. I'm going to hold off on that. Suffice it to say, for now, that you can only fire up to your maximum range. You can't fire at extreme range. If you fire between further than 6 inches, your opponent, the target, their armor goes up by 1. The dwarves then get to figure out where they want to deploy, and they have chosen to deploy behind the screen of line of sight blocking terrain. I'm not sure why. These guys can only see 6 inches. It's going to take them a lot of turns. There is a turn limit on this game. I'm not sure what that is. These guys, our space dwarfs, they get 3 victory points for each objective that they destroy. The defenders get 3 victory points for each walker they destroy, and then 2 victory points for each week. These guys are worth 4. So if we look at our scenario hotel, it is scenario hotel. They get 2 points. No, they only get 1 point. So it's 3, 3, 1, 1, 1. There are 9 points on the table for each force. The space dwarfs get no points for destroying the sentries. We are currently in the stealth phase of the mission. The attackers get to go first, as I said. Our walkers are going to clank on up. They get the free action. They're going to move 5 inches, carefully staying behind the screen. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 units that we're going to advance, and they all activate on a 5, so I'm going to roll 5, 5, and 5. And our leader gets an 8. This red squad gets a 7, and the blue squad gets a 3, so that's going to be the end of the phase for the dwarfs. And if we move these guys up, they actually get to start up to 4.5 inches on the table. So we're going to do that. We're going to bring them all up to the very edge of the deployment zone, since they are kind of runty, stunty, and kind of bunty. And then they're going to move up the 2 inches to there, and these guys are also going to move up 2 inches. So they're going to be shooting the gap and kind of in this area here right there. Still outside of the 6-inch range. But now we got to talk about what stealth means for the war dogs. Our defenders now, even if you had free move, you would still have to make the activation check. Their activation is at -1, and they move at half speed. So this gets interesting. Normally, these elite guys would move on a 5 or better. This time, they're only going to be moving on a 6 or better. So let's roll for these guys over here first. And I think you can just see the leader of the dwarves is right through here. So line of sight is really blocking line of sight. We're going to try to bring these guys up into the action first. We get a 6, so they're going to get to move 2 inches up. And then we're going to try to bring these guys around here. And with an 8, we do, and then we'll bring these guys, what do you think? Let's bring them down here to start counteracting those walkers. That's a lot of victory points, so we do. If they fail one of their movement checks, then the defender gets to start moving these guys around where he wants them to go. But that didn't happen this turn, maybe next time. For the record, this unit does not have line of sight to this figure. Only 2 of the figures can see him. You have to be within 6 inches of a figure, and if you are, you can make a spot check. You roll against the armor value. Our walkers have an armor of 4. These guys, if they were trying to make an armor spot check, they would have to roll a 4 or better to find them. You would have to roll a 3 or better to spot the infantry. Our walkers have decided, maybe we want to come around this way instead. we're going to run interference for our leader. Then we have to roll our 5s. Our leader is going to try to go first, and he will move 2 inches up here. Oh, these guys have to be separated by an inch. Then our squad red is going to activate, and our squad in the back is also going to activate. So again, the Space Dwarves, they might be slow, but they are moving. Same rules apply. We're going to try to get up. We need to get up and try to keep our objectives behind the line of our elite infantry. We're going to start with these guys. We are looking to roll a 6 or better, and we do. They're just going to walk up. These guys are going to move up to there, and they fail. So first of all, let's go ahead and move these guys the 2 inches into position. And now things get interesting. Because the leader has failed his check, the Space Dwarves are going to get to respond. And they're going to get to try to move these guys back out of the way as well. And again, I should point out, these guys only have 2 figures within 6 inches of this hidden walker right back here. Because they only have 2 figures within 6 inches, they needed to move up so that everyone could see. That would end the stealth phase. This unit of elite have gone. This one tried and failed. That means, oh no, this one tried and failed, didn't it? That means this one is under the control on a 6 or better. The dwarves, well, they don't get to this time. They're just going to stand there. Had the dwarves rolled a 6 or better, then they would have been able to move this unit 2 inches out of the way, freeing up the walkers to charge in, but that didn't happen. So that's the end of turn number 2, and now our Space Dwarves get to go. Once again, we're going to go with the high percentage play. Our walkers are going to mix it up. This guy is going to move 5 inches up to here, and this one is likewise going to move 5 inches up to here. We need to keep an inch between them. And then our leader is going to try to swing around behind. And with a 7, he will. He's just going to move the 2 inches to about there. And that way our leader can kind of take some of the heat from that War Dog squad, and our walkers can get stuck in. This unit is going to try to move. On a 5, they will. And then this unit will also move on a 5. And again, we're just going to try to get them up into position. The red heavy infantry stopped after just an inch of movement. They are 6 inches away from that unit. The leader has to make a move attempt. He's got to get up to within 6 inches so he can spot this guy. If you try to spot a unit that is past cover, we're going to give him an additional -1 or +1 on that roll. We're going to make it 1 harder to spot them. I should also point out, looking at the rules again, a unit that has 5 strength points or less, that is our walkers, you have the armor unit. These guys have 5 strength points, have the armor. So these guys you only spot on a 1. These guys, though, because there's 10 of them, you will spot them on a 3 or less, as usual. Be that as it may, it is now the defender's turn to move, and we're going to try, well, let's see, are we within 6 inches of the leader here? We are not. Are we within 6 inches of the walker? We've got 1, 2, 3. We are. So these guys, before they do anything else, they can try to spot this walker, and they need, as I said, it's an armor of 4. Cut that in half because he has 5 strength points. On a 1 or a 2, they will spot him. And a 6, it is still the stealth portion of the mission. We're going to try to, let's bring these guys up. And on a 6, they will move up, and we're just going to bring them straight up. Then we're going to bring our leader around there. And on a 6, he does, and we'll bring these guys up to there. And with a 6, they will. Now, these guys already made 1 spot check, so we're not going to make another one. Just 2 inches puts them right there. And I guess, can they make a spot check on the dwarf leader? No, because you only get 1 spot check per turn. The War Dogs have got to be happy with how this is going. 2 of their objectives now, 1 and 2, are behind a nice wall of iron. The Space Dwarves are going to have to fight their way through elite soldiers. Not going to be easy. However, the Space Dwarves do have one little trick up their sleeve. You see this guy? He's going to move 2 inches, 2 inches, and he's going to walk right over here, high percentage play, heading for his victory objective. Now, he's going to get targeted by a couple of guys, but at least that's going to draw them off. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and our heavy infantry, if you will recall, they shoot for free. So if we want to, we can go ahead and open fire with all of those guys. question is, our light walkers, he attacks on a 6-up. So if we want to race up and make an attack and try to score our first 3 victory points, we can do that. On the other hand, we do have a free shot here, and we have a free shot here, and I think that's the smart play. We also want to bring these guys up and around, kind of draw these guys off. But again, that's not a free. The heavy infantry, they move on a 5-up. So let's go ahead and take the shot with these guys first. On the leader, we'll take the shot with these guys down here. Let me grab some dice. Looking at this again, I want one more turn of stealth. Our leader is only shooting on 6s. I'm going to put the onus on the War Dogs Incorporated to spot us. In other words, I'm going to go ahead and use my... We're going to have a lot of spot checks here, aren't we? Let's use our free move to bring this guy up. Now we're rolling for 5s. We're going to start at the top. He gets it. He's going to move up to the cover. These guys are going to move up to here, and our leader is also going to shift up. We're going to go up the middle there, and they do. All right, we have some spot checks. Does this squad see the walker on a 1 or a 2? On a 5, they do not. Does this squad spot this walker on a 1 or a 2? On a 3, they do not. Now the leader is going to try to spot this squad, and he needs a 1, 2, or a 3. And on a 5, he does not. So they're still in the dark. What happens if you blunder into a guy? You have to no, you can't. They can't make an attack check. The best they can do is move. This will be interesting. So let's try to move... You'd have to attack, wouldn't you? So this guy, remember, is within 1 inch of the Nuka-Cola machine, and he had to stop 1.5 inches shy. Is there any way to get to the point where you can block him out? I don't think so. So what we'll do is we'll go full hard on defending this one over here. These guys are going to shift up on a 6 or better. On a 5, they fail. They're not going to move. These guys have not blown the alarm yet. These must be stealth walker suits. Now the dwarves are going to try to move these guys off the beaten path. And on an 8, they do. They're going to try to move this leader back as well. And on an 11, he does. Moving on to turn number 5, we're going to go ahead and swing him around to there. We're going to bring this walker to over here. Now, he is within 1 inch of his objective marker. Now we'll put him right there. Because that way he's got the straight shot. When things get shooty, they'll be ready. Our leader's going to try to move up into here. And he will. Our blue guys in the back are going to slide along. And with a 5, whatever this is, they will. And then our orange group, what do you think? Let's go ahead and bring them up there too. And with a 4, they'll fail. Time for the attacker. They still can't make an attack action, but maybe we can roll a 1, 2, or 3 to spot these guys. No, man, maybe we can roll... Well, what do we do here? We do have the ability to see this guy in a 1 or a 2. Get your sensors open, fellas. These guys don't have line of sight to any enemies. This guy is behind the NavFac and the manufactorum, whatever you call that thing, and the building. So again, they don't have line of sight. So we're going to start with him. If they can get line of sight, we're going to pull him back this way. We need to roll a 6 or better to do that. Yeah, we do. And then they'll have line of sight to, hey, let's call it the walker, 1 or a 2. Negative. Oh, baby. We're going to try to bring our leader up to there. On a 7, we do, and we're going to try to bring these guys up to block that as well. And on a 6, we do. So at least they get to move. That's the end of the turn number 5. It's turn number 6. If I roll a 6, this is the last turn of the game. I did not. We will play another turn. On the next turn, we'll roll, and on a 5, it'll be the end of the turn. On the following turn, on a 4, and so on and so forth. Our stunty boys are going to try to score 6 easy victory points. If we do this, now we don't get free movement anymore. We have to roll to see if our walker attacks. And our walker, we're going to start with this attack down here. The light walker can attack on a 6 or better. He makes it, meaning he moves into contact with the victory point, and now Wait, what happens now? These fellas have 5 armor and 5 strength points, but remember, our walker has Little power fist, see that? So and we purchased the ability to reduce armor by 1. So it has an armor of 4, and we have to do 5 wounds to it. So with an armor of 4, we go bang, 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 and we do 1 wound. And that, oh my goodness, this might be a little harder than I anticipated. Then we're going to do the same with the second walker on the Nuka-Cola, and with a result of a 4, our turn is going to end. The stealth phase is over, and now things are going to get ugly for the Space Dwarves. Because our leader over here has a free attack. He is going to just jump right in, and he is going to be hitting on 4s. Kablow, and we'll go with the nearest unit. So we automatically attack with those guys. Those guys are going to roll 10 dice, and they are hitting on 4s. They are attacking a unit that has an armor of 3. So there's 1 wound there, and then we have a 5, 4, and a 3, and then we have 1 more 3, which doesn't do anything. So that is a total of 2 wounds to the Space Dwarves, who are going to have to make a morale check at -2. Their courage is 4, but they are... this guy's blocking line of sight. They're with it. We'll give it to them. They're going to be a total of -1. They need a 5 or better, and they get it. So they will be able to stick around after this fight. They can counterattack, and remember that they are... Oh, you know what? I think I needed to pull off one more guy. Because these guys have the +1. They reduce all armor by 1 when they attack. The Space Dwarves do the same thing. They are going to be hitting on 5s because they're... No, they defend on a 4 up because they're a big squad. And they... Oh, but they do not have the -1. So they will be hitting on 4s, and they need to get a total of 4 hits to do 1 wound to that leader. And what a phenomenal roll. For every 4 hits, there's 1 hit, and then they got a 5, 4. They got 2 hits altogether. That's really impressive. So we'll pull off 2 of those guys. And now our leader is going to have to make a morale check at +1 because he's the leader. You know, I forgot. Leaders have a +1 to their activation. He should have been activating on a 5. Gotta remember that one. At any rate, they've already done their damage. They have to the leader has to make a morale check, and he is going to be at a total of -1. And they get a 5. It's -2 for the wounds, +1 for the leader. With a result of a 5 and a courage of 3, he's fine. But because he moved in, now he has to back off the 1 inch. Then we have another instance where we've got a unit that can make a free let's get punchy, and we'll dive in and try to take out this walker who is a serious threat to this. Now, the elite foot are going to attack first. They are going to be attacking on a 4 or better, and they have, let's see, they reduce armor by 1. So this guy's 4 armor drops to 3, hitting on 4s. And we pull off every 3 of them does 1 wound. So there's 1, 2 wounds to the walker. And we'll drop down 2 wound markers right behind him. The walker now has to make a courage check. And I'm going to do the courage check first, and then he fights back. He rolls a 10. He's fine. He's going to be at -2, but that's an 8. His courage is 4. He's okay. Now he's going to go ahead and counterattack. He gets to roll 10 dice, and he is going to be hitting on 4. No, he's defending now, so he's hitting on 4s, but he is going to reduce their armor by 1. So again, he's hitting on 5s, and for every 3, he'll do a wound. We got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. So he just does 1 wound to one of these guys. And that does force a morale check. And they are going to be just fine. They are beyond the range of the leader. However, they're good. You know what I mean? They're only at -1. They get a courage of 3. They're fine. Now they're going to go ahead and... But first, our elites have to withdraw. Hey, see the white? Somebody was priming miniatures today. Our elites have to withdraw. This wound marker is for our fact. Let's put it on that side. And these 2 wound markers are for our walker. You know, come to think of it, he probably should have fallen back an inch after attacking this as well. We'll call this as a defending unit. Then we have one more unit. What do we want to do with these guys? Do we want to open fire? They are within 6 inches. Should we take out that guy? That or melee. They're hitting on 4s either way. Let's go ahead and do the shooty bit because they automatically get to shoot. These guys get to firefight, which means on a 7 or better, they can fire back. And they get it. So it's going to be a shooting match this time. The elite infantry are going to be shooting and hitting on 4s. We are within 6 inches, so don't worry about the... Well, first of all, within 6 inches is just a normal shot. If it's beyond 6 inches, then their armor would go up by 1. We're hitting on 4s against an armor of 3. And look at that. That was pretty fancy, wasn't it? Hitting on 4s, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to do 2 wounds to the leader's unit. And he's going to have to make a courage check at a total of -1. 5 is going to be successful. He will fire back at full strength. Because they are a reduced size, they are shooting. They're only going to be hitting on 6s. We got to get him out of there. And they're going to get a grand total of 0 hits. So that's the end of the turn for our attackers, and that is the end of turn number... What did I say? Turn number 6. Now we're on turn number 7. On a 5, this is the last turn. Oh my goodness, this will be the last turn. Meaning it's our chance to score some victory points. We're going to start by opening fire on the objective. That means our leader, because they're heavy infantry... Oh, he was only hitting on 6s, though. Oh, this is terrible. He's too far away. Oh, man. This might be a 0-0 tie. Wow, wouldn't that be terrible? Can you charge? You can only charge things you can see. We need to do a total of 5 wounds. He needs to roll an attack. No, you know what? All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's make an attack action with these guys. These guys will attack, and they hit on... It doesn't matter. They're only hitting on 6s either way. They got to roll 5 6s. It's a long shot. Yeah, let's try and make an attack roll with these guys. Needing a 5 or better, they get it. And at least there's no counterattack by that machine. Looking for 6s, they get a pair of 2 of them, which ain't going to do much. And then our light walker is going to roll a 5. And he will do his attacks on a 6, which means he failed his activation. So that's the end of their turn. And now it's just a question of whether or not the war dogs can eliminate a unit. And who do we want to eliminate? We get 3 victory points if we eliminate this guy. So let's go ahead and charge in here. Full strength on full strength. We're going to roll the attackers attack first. And they are going to be hitting on 4s. For every 3 of them, they will do 1 wound. There's 1, 2 wounds to the big boy, who has to make a morale check at half strength. And he rolls 1 die. He gets a 6. Minus the 2 is a 4. He's got a courage of 4. He's sticking around. Man, he really needed that roll. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? No, it does matter, because if he had failed that, he would have walked off the board. He would have completely ran. But because he was at full strength before that attack, he gets to roll 10 dice back. He is defending on 5s or better, and he gets 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, he does -1, so he only needs to do 3. He does 1 strength point to that squad. They make a morale check. And with a result of a 6, they are going to be just fine. But they have to fade back 1 inch, which means these guys can now dive in. And if they do 1 point, if they can just do 1 point of damage to this guy, they can do 1 wound, I should say. Oh, I got to roll that one too, don't I? They are hitting on 3 4s. I think they blew it. I think they failed. They're hitting on 4s. This old boy's got an armor. Oh, they only need to do 3. So there's 1, 2, and where's the 3rd hit? They didn't do any damage. He is going to attack back at half strength, hitting on 5s, and he only gets 1 hit, which is enough that they have to make a morale check. but they're going to be fine. So they fade back an inch. And now, oh my gosh, what do we do here? These guys are going to get stuck in. They're going to charge into here. And if they can just eliminate that unit, they will score 1 victory point. They are hitting on 4s. And this time then remember, they reduce armor by 1. So every pair, 1, 2, 3, that is going to be 3 wounds to this unit. And if this unit, they're at half strength now, they roll 1 die, they subtract a whole bunch, and because they rolled just a 4, they run off the table, and War Dogs scores 1 victory point. That's all they needed. Well, we can do the counterattack, by the way, and see if those guys did, but it doesn't really matter at this point. They're hitting on, what is it? They defend on 5s now? No, they defend on 4s, so that is really what they're hoping for. There's 1, 2, 3. They're -1 armor when shooting, so they need 4, so they will do 1 strength point to the leaders. He's now at half strength on a 5, minus the 1 for plus the 1 for him. Courage of 3, he's fine on a 5. So the leader sticks around, and now we are at the end of the game. For a massive score of 1 point to War Dogs Incorporated, to none for the Space Dwarves. It is a War Dogs Incorporated minor victory. They have successfully defended their Camp War Dog here, and I blame myself mostly. I didn't realize how hard it would be to take these things out. One of the difficulties of this game when you are doing random scenarios is that it makes it hard to plan to overcome difficult situations like this. You could buy demolitions, which would have reduced the armor of this fella down to 2, and then you would have been able to take him out in 1 turn or 2. As it is, I probably should have focused all of the dwarf energy on one of these things and hit it really hard starting on turn 6, hoping to win the game by a score of 3, to maybe lose 1 or 2 little squads. But again, I was kind of coming in with the idea that we would at least be able to get to like turn 8 or 9, and I needed to protect my squads so that we didn't give up a whole lot of victory points. So that's where we're at. That's the end of the battle. The night fighting rules are very simple once you put them into practice. You read through them, and there's a lot of if-then statements going on. But once you put them in, it's crazy easy. You can spot up to 6 inches, roll against the armor or less, have the armor if they've only got 5 strength points. So I imagine our little space dwarfs just kind of like tiptoeing around, you know, kind of like in the cartoons, and just like completely going unnoticed by these guys until it's a little too late. I suspect the other thing we might have been able to do that might have helped us out a little bit is eliminate one of the squads entirely so that we could focus a lot of attacks on one of these, but I don't know. It's kind of Monday morning quarterbacking. Hope you enjoyed watching this video report on Xenos Rampant. Just a fun little warband game. A lot of really subtle things going on in there. And I don't know. Now, let's take a look at the profiles for these Thunder Sons, because there's something else that I'm looking at here that now I'm kind of wondering. Let's take, you really need to stack up your abilities. Our heavy infantry have -1 armor when shooting, and they're only hitting on 5s again, so we really want to be shooting with those guys. Our leader needs to stop getting stuck in. He needs to hide behind his infantry screen. Let them absorb the hits, because they can take, 5 more hits. Well, they could take like 3 or 4 more hits before they're at half strength. Our leader's at half strength when he takes 3. They need to take 5. They really need to kind of soak that damage. Their armor is the same as his, but they're also way more effective on defense. These guys need to be the ones who are assaulting. They're attacking on 5s or better as opposed to 6s. The leader is useless for everything except that morale boost. We got to remember that moving forward. Like I said, we are learning. Oh, and for those of you that want to know, this comes from Rebel Minis. That's where I got this guy. These come from alternative armies, these little, hab tents and the little manufacturing things. So if you're interested in those, I have no clue where this comes from. And my Nuka-Cola vending machine, I built this out of this is a electrical connector. It's got 3 little holes on the underside that you stick it in, and you push your... I don't know, you jam the wires in underneath there, and it's kind of like a pigtail. But man, it's the perfect size and perfect shape for vending machines in 15 millimeter. Hey, look at that little bonus tip here with the battle. We aim to please here in the House of Wargaming. Thanks for coming along. I'm praying for you.